Excuse me.
Thank you. That is kind.
You're a soldier?
Long ago.
Do you mind? I'm Sam.
Please. Tell me, Sam, do you know the story of our slain king and his beautiful daughter, the Princess Lisa?
I don't.
Well, you remind me of her.
Tell me what's going on.
I'm here to finish your training.
A little late for that.
One is never too old to learn, Snips.
All right. What's the lesson, Master?
Live. Or die.
I fear we lost some measure of our honor since that betrayal. I'm afraid our compassion, our kindness, our very joy died with that young girl.
I think I believe in you.
I won't fight you.
I've heard that before.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Space-Tastic Discussions. And welcome to the very first live stream with any show on Batman's Thoughts to also make it on Twitter too. So I'm really excited about this new rollout, and I'm really excited to get in-depth spoilers for Rebel Moon Part 2, a great spoiler-filled discussion, as I'm emphasizing this over and over again. The person I'm going to bring on, we already did our spoiler-free review. Feel free to check that out. But spoilers up ahead. So please welcome as I bring on Josh Herrera. Yeah, you showed this. You had this on your watch party.
Yeah, and you know what? Let me correct something. Let me get it real quick because I missaid something. I'll be right back. Can you hear me? I'm still here.
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. So on one of my streams, I don't know if it was my stream or Sky's stream, but I got the mug too. I said this was like the mug from Velt, and then I started looking at it when I unboxed it. It's Jimmy. It's not the mugs of Velt, because if you put it's Jimmy, like it's literally his crest on his. And then this is the handle is the antler. So I was like looking at it because I was like, wait a minute. It's got like the back like Jimmy, And then the box, it literally says modeled after Jimmy. So I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna put that right there. Maybe I'll get a drink in that. How are you, Bat Dan?
I'm good. I'm pumped. I'm really excited to talk about this great movie and definitely some stuff that we have to talk about with certain, let's just say certain stupidity among people with certain comments, but we'll get into that when we get into certain topics. And I meant to go over this before I brought you on, but I just remembered now. Is this gonna pull up right now? Okay, so I just kind of wanted to clarify. As you may know, Zawrider Sox and I were gonna have an X-Men review show this week on Monday. We actually did have it live. We had to abruptly end it because StreamYard was being glitchy. And honestly, it was so bad with StreamYard that I'm just like, you know what? Let's just take it down and we'll redo the show next week with better quality. So fingers crossed for that. I just wanted to explain that because I was advertising it and good old StreamYard though, right, Josh?
Yeah, just to that point, I don't know if you were able to hear it. You might not be, but Aurora Monroe, Storm herself, is really mad right outside my front door. So it's really storming right now. So a little X-Men, segue in there because if my connection's a little spotty, just know that it's crazy weather right now here in the South. But hopefully it doesn't get too noisy or anything.
Oh, so far you're good. Knock on wood. And before we get into Rebel Moon, I just wanted to go over briefly this because there was another trailer for Tales of the Empire with Darth frickin' Vader. Honestly, I was gonna kind of let this one go because there's not much new except for Darth Vader. I guess, Josh, what are your thoughts on this trailer?
Well, true to form, I literally just watched it, just like the last one. And I like the trailer. I did. Of course, it starts off with Vader and ends with Vader, right? So it's all about the dark side, It's basically following Morgan Elsbeth's story and Baroness. I forget her last. Barriss.
Barriss Alba, I think. I just remember Anakin shouting it out when he's revealing her as the one who blew up the temple.
And so it looks like from the trailer, she becomes a Inquisitor or Inquisitor in training. Is that what I was seeing?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because you have the Grand Inquisitor recruiting her because she's no longer a Jedi. She's the Force user. So therefore, she was immune from Order 66, which I find it funny, though. She got rewarded, essentially, in the long run for blowing up the Jedi Temple.
So, wait. Have we... Okay, I have not watched Bad Batch Season 2 or 3. Have we seen Baron...
Nope.
As an Inquisitor yet? Anywhere?
No.
Okay. This
trailer is the first time that we have seen Barriss at all since she got arrested in Clone Wars.
Okay. That's what I was figuring. So I'm gonna need to do some catch up, obviously. But this Saturday is May the 4th and also Free Comic Book Day. So it's here, whether we like it or not. So I gotta get on board.
Oh yeah, definitely catch up on Bad Batch. As finale was really good. It has a really good ending, and I would say from this trailer, it was cool seeing Morgan Elsbeth fight Grievous.
Yes.
And and then again, Darth Vader. I have to wonder: is he going to kill Barriss? Because in a comic book, there was enough Anakin for him to kill Commander Fox for unjustly shooting fives. Hashtag justice for fives. But I have to wonder, though, is there going to be enough Anakin in him to kill Barriss?
Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, I've been seeing Sox posts about Bad Batch being great, and I've heard I've actually heard people who love Bad Batch that it's season 3 is really, really good. I just so behind. So one day.
Fair enough. And what up, Rock Talks? Oh, I hope your kids feel better soon.
Sorry about that, man. You've been going through some stuff, Rock Talks. Shout out to you. Sending love to you and your family.
Family always comes first, so I appreciate any support on the channel.
Yeah.
But thanks. I guess I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts on the trailer?
Looks cool. I mean, I liked it more than the last one. So anything with the dark side is alluring to me. So
It, yeah, it's weird. Like I liked it more, even though there's really not much more to discuss from last time. Like, yeah, I mean, like Thrawn was in it, but it was like the same footage we saw from Thrawn in the last trailer. I guess Darth Vader was the real
here's
highlight of this trail.
here's something sad, Bat Dan. Like I said, to that point, I like stuff from the dark side, right? But why is this animation trailer for Dave Filoni more interesting to me than the Acolyte trailer was? That's just kind of sad to me, in my opinion.
I think Lucasfilm has done way better with animation than they have done with the live action stuff. I'm just going to be honest, and I feel like part of that too is that I feel like maybe certain people are less involved in the animation, therefore you don't see as much of the quality affected. And also, I think I think this trailer had a bit of an advantage because they were using all familiar characters, which makes the trailer a much easier sell. But
Yeah.
to me, that means you have to try harder to get the audience on board. It doesn't mean that you get to not try. So, what a peak defense initiative.
How's it
But
going?
all we can do is hope. I hope this, Bad Batch was great, and I'm calling you out live right now, not you, Socks. You're going to be coming out on my channel soon to discuss the other half of season 3. So
I actually did listen to y'all's first half, not even watching. I was just working and I was like, I'm going to see what they're saying. So that's kind of what I was saying. Like, oh, I've been hearing good things, not just from y'all, from other people, but I've watched y'all.
well, I hope you weren't paying too much attention to that stream because we were
I-
kind of spoiled.
I know, like, yeah, I know. And I shouldn't have listened to it, but I did. I was just like, I'm going to put y'all on while I'm working. And I do that a lot. Like sometimes I feel bad. Like I look at chats and I see like so many people in like Sky's chat or Sil's chat saying hi, but I've literally just like, I pop in and then keep working. And then I'll like say something in the chat and then pop working. And then everyone's like talking to me or saying hi. And I feel bad. So I'm not ignoring people. I just literally, I listen to YouTube more than I actually like watch YouTube. So
I get that. I mean, I've done that too, depending on the task. I would never, if it's like a task I have to concentrate, I wouldn't do it. But like certain tasks are kind of tedious and it kind of helps to listen on something. So I get that. And I definitely recommend when you have time. Again, real life comes first, but definitely catch up on Bad Batch. And even, if you're doing stuff and you need a break, just watch a half-hour episode of Bad Batch. So
yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes of season 2, but it was so long ago that I kind of forgot. So I need to just restart.
you better rewatch those 2 episodes.
Okay, good to know.
I think they're really good episodes, especially the cross. Well, wait, no, I forgot. It was a 2-part. The premiere was a 2-parter. That's right. You didn't get Crosshair one yet.
No.
Because I was thinking Crosshair was in the 2nd episode. I'm like, oh wait, no, the season 2 premiere was a 2-parter, so he was technically in the 3rd episode.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen
So, but yeah, lots of great stuff, and I'm really excited for Tales of the Empire. I mean, Tales of the Jedi was phenomenal. So, yeah, you ready to talk some Rebel Moon now?
JC1435 is ready.
So I added a topic because Socks is in the chat. But your opinion, should this have been a musical?
We were talking about the scene, the trying to get Jimmy in the screen. We were talking about the scene with the orchestra, and I kind of started in my head. I was just kind of like, wow, like if Zach can do this, I wonder if he could do a musical.
Yeah,
so,
I think it would be. What do you think, Socks? What's your
I swear.
Yeah, and just FYI, I'm just gonna be brutally honest with anyone watching this. I literally added this topic just to troll this guy here, just to troll my friend Socks Bulletin because he loves musicals so much. So I had to, but we won't spend too long. Oh, sorry, were you gonna say, Josh?
I said it's all love, Socks. I know. I'm sure he knows.
And now Rebel Moon Part 2 spoiler warning. So I got 2 surprises coming up. So I'll just emphasize I'm wearing a Star Wars hat right now. Hold on, before I go off, I gotta change my avatar to the Space-Tastic logo.
Well, since you're showing off your stuff, I'm gonna show off some of my new merch too. This is the Forever 21 Cora shirt. And I wore on your non-spoiler my Nemesis. Still has the tags on it, actually. Yeah, back then. This is the back Rebel Moon and the front Nemesis. Now let's see yours. Yeah. So is it red or is it orange?
It's orange.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was trying to look and I was like, does it look orange? Which makes sense because there's kind of like orangish in the logo of my merch as well. And even this shirt.
Oh yeah, because orange is really associated with Rebel Moon.
Yeah, even the tags of like the merch are like orange, reddish orange.
And now surprise 2. As you can see, the good Austin has created a wonderful new background for me. I'm going to temporarily take us offline just so you can. And then even Justice for Fives. Austin even added. I'm trying to point to the Justice for Fives in the middle between the. Okay, yeah. Where you are.
I see that. That's awesome.
So
shout out to the good Austin.
Yeah, shout out to good Austin. Yeah, he made it. Again, like Fives was actually on the cutting room floor, unfortunately, for the intro. So I'm glad. So I was really impressed. He found another way to incorporate Fives on this show. So
you got to, right?
Exactly. So again, great work to the good Austin. And actually, I put this backstage when after the X-Men review show, Zod was still on backstage. When I changed the background, I thought I left the logo on the whole time. I didn't realize at first the logo was part of the background.
Ah, nice.
So yeah, but so anyway, guys, I swear StreamYard is so annoying sometimes. Just trying to show the topics here. Okay, there we are. Spoiler warning, guys. So spoiler warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gunner dies, Princess Issa is alive. You've been warned about spoilers, and now you've already been spoilers. And yes, for any Zack Snyder Netflix stuff, either wear Rebel Moon a shirt, which I don't have right now, or sell. I think we've seen, yeah, I know I have about 4 shirts, I think 4 or 5 sell shirts right now. So anyway, we got a lot to cover on this show. So I am going to tell you this, Josh. This is one of the stupidest complaints I ever heard about. The wheat was pointless. The wheat was pointless. I'm like, it was literally the reason why the Mother World didn't shoot from the village right away when they could have, when it would have been beneficial to them since they had all their wanted fugitives on the surface, on the ground. They exploited the need for the grain. And actually, Josh, I kind of said this in our spoiler-free review. In Star Wars Rebels, it's kind of like it reminded me a lot in Star Wars Rebels, where the logistics of Thrawn's fuel supply line was essential to stopping him. But it's like a normal logistics thing that a lot of these movies don't show. And here it's the same thing. The Mother World needs to eat. They need the grain. And a lot of movies would forget something like that. But no, they needed it. They acknowledged that.
Yep.
I guess what's your opinion?
The criticism is ridiculous. If you have a problem with the narrative of what's going on, you need to pay more attention to what's happening in the real world right now. You know, like, let's be honest, Bat Dan. Like, I don't know if you've bought groceries recently, but groceries are expensive. They've gone up, right? Inflation, okay? Yep. We as a society, are entitled, right? I live in Texas, okay, but I'm not stereotypical like you would think. I don't live on a farm. I don't wear cowboy boots, right? I'm not a farmer, okay, but I need to eat, right? Zack Snyder putting this in, putting wheat and an emphasis on, something that is essential in a futuristic sci-fi opera like Rebel Moon. He's talking about how relevant, stuff happening in our world is today, right? We've all gone through a pandemic. We've all seen how it is to be cut off of resources, right? And needing essential things. I don't know what it's like in Chicago where you are, but here, ever since the pandemic, because of supply chain issues now, we have really bad weather storms. Right now, we're having a thunderstorm, right? But recently, we've had cold freezes where the city gets locked down, basically shut down, because we don't have the equipment, or we don't have the knowledge of conditions like Chicagoans do, right? Like you're prepared for winter, right? It's because of global warming and everything. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at is that we are cut off from supplies. So now there's that fear. So people now at grocery stores overbuy and wipe out grocery stores for no reason. Anytime there's like a possibility of, crazy storms or crazy weather. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is that Zack Snyder putting a natural resource like wheat for food, energy, substance, right? In this galaxy, in this world, in this universe, in this Snyderverse, you need to eat. So
Rebelverse.
Even though the Rebelverse, yeah, even though
he officially coined it that,
the mother world is so advanced, can bring people back from the dead, they still need to eat, right? And they're they have such hubris, right? They could just wipe out the rebels and have, machines do the work, right? But because they're used, the entitlement, they're used to going and colonizing other, villages and planets and taking them over and destroying them, taking everything. They'd rather the villagers do it, right? So anyways, that's part of their hubris, right? That's what gives essentially Velt a fighting chance, because farmers, and I think this is very historical, like when they would have to, back in the day, protect, think about it, a hoe or a shovel or, a scythe, I think that's how you pronounce it, the thing that they were using to, harvest the wheat. Those can be used for protection as well, right? Because invaders or predators, or like Zach talked about how insects and rodents were eating the wheat that they literally grew for the movie. So I don't know. I'm just saying, all these criticisms about the wheat being too overemphasized or whatnot, you're not paying attention to the movie. You don't know what real life is like. You need to get outside and experience the world a little bit more. Because I think Zach is telling us something, supply chain issues, resources are becoming scarce. We're living in a world where a lot of places, people are dying because they don't have nourishment. They don't have food, right? And so for people to like insult that as part of an integral part of the story, if you didn't freaking watch the movie, don't even comment on it, because obviously if you have something to say about the wheat, you didn't pay attention. So I don't know, just ranting. I'm ranting now because that's.
Oh no, I'm, no problem. And it's like, and they say this too. I mean, Darth Vader brings up this good point. People complain that why didn't the farmers use machines when they had to get the wheat done fast? They said very clearly in part 1, they do the work by hand to connect them more to the land. And this is the thing with cultures. Even in life or death situations, people will follow their culture. That's what I mean, and you got the explanation in part 1. I mean, and I'm going to say this too, Josh. Most directors would have ignored why the mother world doesn't just shoot the village on sight from above. Most movies would have ignored that. Zack Snyder actually came up with a logical reason other than they're the good guys, they're the ones we're rooting for, so the bad guys have to be stupid. What up, Integrity?
Yes, it is, sir. Good to see you, Integrity.
Yeah, that's another good point too, is that the farmers don't have the machines because they never invested in the machines because they never wanted the machines. It's not like you can, even if they were going to break their principles, it's not like they can just go to a store and buy a machine. They're not. Anyway, I don't want to get too much ranting on this. I think we both said our piece on the stupidity of this. Just critics just trying to hate the movie. But what I really love though is, but yeah, is that Zach actually acknowledged something that most movies would have ignored. Most directors would have been like, whatever. We can just have them not shoot the village because reasons. But Zach gave a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And with the score, Zach actually made farming an entertaining scene.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful, and it really does show, something. He could make a commercial marketable and make you want to buy some wheat, go out and buy some some kind of grain product, wheat thins or something, I could see Zach doing that, and as his marketing commercial background, he made it interesting, in my opinion, and beautiful the way it was done. I don't know if you've seen Killers of the Flower Moon, but there were scenes in that movie where the Native Americans were basically had something similar. And I think that I don't know if Zach was inspired by that or when it was shot. This might have been shot before that. I don't know. But I think this was more well done, in my opinion. I did love Killers of the Flower Moon, but I like this sequence a little bit more. But I'm biased, obviously.
I actually haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon.
Very good movie. Very long, but very good.
And one thing I love though too is that Zach actually had the wheat grown. He didn't use CGI wheat or artificial wheat or props. He actually took the time and had people grow the wheat for a realistic scene.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully, none of those actors had celiac disease or whatever it is, allergic to gluten or anything, because that wheat was everywhere in that scene. But I thought it was beautiful, and it really kind of made it, made me think of Velt as a Native American type, allegory, right? Living off the land and being in touch with nature and being pure, not being, mechanical and artificial, right? So yeah, I thought it was well done.
And no problems, Integrity. We're totally, feel free to run your mouth off in this chat. And I haven't seen The Accountant yet. And I know I need to because that's a Ben Affleck movie, but
Dan. You got to watch The Accountant.
I know.
It's literally the Punisher versus Batman, right, Socks? Literally Punisher versus Batman with J. Jonah Jameson and possibly Batgirl thrown in there.
J. Jonah Jameson and Commissioner Gordon at the same time.
Yep. Doing double duty.
But yeah, I just love it because the farmers used their actual skills to win the battle. And we have a lot more to talk about in the battle itself, but they used the farmer skills and utilized it. And I thought that was so cool that they did that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. It kind of makes sense that, you need manpower to be a farmer, right? I'm not a farmer, right? But you kind of got to have, sturdy back, right? And a physique to do that type of work. We have machines nowadays that can make it easier, but people in Belt don't do it. They do it the old school way and manually. So I thought it was brilliant that, to show how these farmers can be, nurturers to the earth, right? And share that connection, but also use those skills that they have for, nurturing the earth and use those to protect themselves and their village and their people.
Exactly. And yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watching them back to back, I saw Integrity on a watch party, Coach J's watch party, and watching them back to back, I think, I'm sure Integrity will test that it makes sense when you see them back to back. That's how they're meant to be viewed.
Well, unfortunately, my watch party will be two separate watch parties because I don't know if I have time to have a whole watch party for them at the same time. But definitely, though, I definitely want to watch those two back to back. But anyway, anything else about the week before you move on?
No, I mean, basically need to go get some wheat thins, I think.
Now, did you catch the James Gunn reference in this scene?
You're talking about Peacemaker, huh?
Yeah, the Peacemaker shit. I'm sure that's not what Zach was going for, but unfortunately, us being DC fans, unfortunately, and we have certain feelings about certain people right now, and
yeah, 100%. Even in the screening, like I think, like I heard like a subtle like, huh, like reaction from somebody when that name came up, So yeah, we're nerds, right? We're in pop culture. We know what's up. So I don't know if it was meant to be.
I'm sure it wasn't
conscious, but you never know. You never know. You never know, Zach.
Yeah, the ship was named the Peacemaker.
That's what it was supposed to be, but then it became the King's Gaze. So no peace in this Rebel verse.
But what are your thoughts on the overall on the scene, though? The whole death scene.
Talked about it a lot. Really masterfully done. In the screening I went to, super tense. And the more that I watched the movie, oh, by the way, if you haven't, put on Rebel Moon Part 2 on your Netflix devices and play it while you're watching this on a separate device. I have been watching Trader. Okay, so bad. Right. This scene, I love the scene. I've talked about it with Syl, with Skywalker the Jedi. It plays out, kind of, I guess, not how I was expecting, but masterfully done in a unique way that Zach crafted with the orchestra playing, right? Making the tense orchestral music and having the bags over their heads. You get the sense that the king, the queen, and the daughter actually are really blindsided, right? They literally think they're just coming in here to christen the ship, right, for peace. And so initially, my thoughts about the scene have changed by then. Not changed, but I guess evolved. I love the scene. I've watched it a few times now because I've been playing Rebel Moon on my devices. So I was watching the scene, and this is something that I love to do that I don't know. Some people might think this is stupid, but a lot of times I'll be listening to YouTube, but I'll have Rebel Moon playing, right? So the sound is off. And I'm listening to YouTube, but I'm watching the what's going on screen. And some things that I've noticed is that the Queen, I really love the facial acting from the Queen so much, and Issa. Carrie Elwes, of course, is fantastic. But it really is masterfully done. But I also get the sense that maybe we're not seeing exactly how things played out verbatim.
Yeah. You mean how, because when when everyone's calling Korra murderer to Korra, to me that felt like not what actually happened. That's Korra's post-traumatic stress kicking in.
Yes, that could be, and also, the more I think about it, I've said this, it kind of hit me when I first saw it as, maybe it's just something I'm projecting onto it, but it felt like a scene reminiscent of what Zach and his family were going through walking into WB.
Oh, yeah.
Being betrayed by those one time, that imperial family, right? And then being surrounded with the knives out, and then literally, what happens to the family, but having the king, the queen, the daughter, it was just very, maybe that's too dark and too deep, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Zach was just trying to say a lot. Of course, the Julius Caesar references, the et tu, Brute. So yeah, I know how this can probably be shocking to some people to see what Cora did, right? But it made sense that she would do this thinking that she was protected, and then at the last minute, after the deed is done, Belisarius, literally in front of everybody saw what happened, but they're so willing to blame it on the scapegoat, right? You killed Zack Snyder, killed DC. That's all. I don't know. Maybe that's not what Zach was intending at all, right? And that's just me projecting what I saw on the screen. But yeah, Geek Defense Initiative, you got it. Et tu, Johns. Et tu, Balcap.
Okay, I get it now. See, I didn't even think about that, but damn, that could. I really love this scene though, because again, this is where Zach did something different. So many directors, I feel like they would have Cora back out at the last minute and have her run away, and because they can't have the main character do something like this. But no, at the end of the day, that's what makes Cora an interesting character, is that she feels guilty for what she did. She feels guilty, and she's not knowing how to deal with this. It's such a normal human emotion, and that's what I really love, is that Zach subverted our expectations, but in a good way, I feel like. And
Yeah.
you really feel a lot more of Cora's backstory, why she's trying to run, why. And you really, and like Belisarius, damn, I mean, I thought Belisarius loved and legitimately cared about Cora before she betrayed them, but and I mean, I'll tell you this, Josh. I was watching Rebel Moon with a friend, part one with a friend, and she said she was so convinced that Belisarius killed the king, and she was right. She was completely right. But I didn't predict this, like her framing Cora, but I guess that makes sense. They needed a scapegoat. They needed someone to pin it on, because you can't just say the king died. Someone had to do it. So
see, and then what also makes me, what I haven't heard a lot of people bring up, is that when I think it's Noble, remember when Noble in part one, when Noble is killing King Levitica, with the alien, right?
Yeah.
On his news, right? And he talks about how the king's gaze got its name, and he said an outsider, much like yourself, betrayed, basically. So I don't know, just the way Noble explains that scene. I don't know. It just kind of, there's some stuff just seems like, I don't know, maybe what we saw in Cora's exposition of what happened. I get the sense that maybe the scribes are involved somehow, and maybe she has some false memories, I don't know. I feel like she did do it, right? But I don't know if it maybe, I don't know. I don't think, here's what I'm going to say. I don't think what we saw in this movie, I don't think anything should be taken as fact. We're going to treat it as fact, right? Because that's what we know right now. But I remain to be skeptical, because I've always got the sense that the scribes are somehow involved with these memories, these flashbacks, the fact that Titus knew that Issa was still alive, and Titus was part of the, Motherworld Imperial fleets, right? I'm just putting together some dots, and I'm just I don't know. We'll see. But the scene was well done, basically.
And I love how they got actual violins to play the background music. How most of the time you actually, the background music, it's not canon, essentially. We the audience just hear it, but here it's no, the background, Belisarius actually had the violins play, which I thought was kind of a cool little detail.
Yeah, definitely. And it was very unique for the scene.
And this scene really made me hate Belisarius. So it's like someone that who was a daughter to him, he just threw under the bus at a moment's notice.
Oh
It
yeah,
just shows how sadistic and he really was.
and it's yeah.
I mean, again, we don't have Belisarius topic because he's only in this one scene, but damn, what are your thoughts on Belisarius in this scene?
Definitely, we're gonna get more of him in the director's cuts because there's that one scene from like one of the first trailers where he's getting crowned, right? And he's like, "Shh, I love this pot," and someone's putting the. So
yeah,
I need to see more. You know, we can't really make too much of an inference because, like, of course, we see the scene in part 1 where he's in the astral plane talking to Noble, who's dead, right? But I don't know. I'm kind of like, is Belisarius real at this point? Is he real? Like, I'm gonna just say this, okay? Here's where I'm going with this. This is what I'm trying to allude to. I said when I saw part 1, I was like, I don't think the king is dead. I don't think Issa's dead. And the more I watch Rebel Moon, we'll have to see what the director's cuts, right? Because that's a different universe, alternate timeline or whatever, right? But what we're seeing in these movies, I'm like, could my theory actually be true? Could Belisarius be made up, basically? Not made up, but like, did he die at some point, right? But the memory of him existing, because why do we only see him with Noble in that astral form or whatever? I don't know. So I remain skeptical.
that would be interesting, huh? That's another good point too. Man, you really been blowing my mind today, Josh.
I don't know. I'm probably looking too deep and just missing the mark. But at the same time, if he has 6 movies planned out, I can see so many twists and turns like we got with part 1 with Kai. You know, I feel like there's more twists to the story in the store.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we got at least 4 more movies because we know that Rebel Moon was a success. So,
yes, sir.
whether the haters like it or not, and now, yeah, well, I mean, I'm always concerned. Well, in a way, both are canon though. Both are canon right now because they're separate universes. So.
We're gonna get 2 completely different title, which hasn't been confirmed yet for the director's cuts, but there's theories and rumors. So we'll see what that title ends up being confirmed to be.
Now, I want to go into this scene too, the ZSJL2 scene, but Zach went out of his way to say that ZSJL2 is still viable. But anyway, what were your thoughts on this scene?
I mean, it's more Zach basically teasing, right? We know Zach loves, religious allegory, religious references, and that shows the pureness in his storytelling and what his messaging that he's trying to say, right? That kind of it's reflected in how he grew up and his perspective on, spirituality. But it's done so beautifully in this. And when I saw the promo picture, the actual promo picture actually includes Eris and Sam, I think. And I think that's it. Oh, and I think Din. I think Din is also in the actual photo, reminiscing the Last Supper famous art mural. But I think it was Da Vinci or Michelangelo. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Don't quote me. But the scene, we only see Titus, Nemesis, Tarak, Milius, and they were all like Titus, as I've said in other spoiler streams, Titus was very smart to have this moment, right? Because he's He's a leader, he's a general, and he knows what it's like to command men, our armies, right? Not men, but men and women, an army, right? Unisex, how to get them to mobilize and have camaraderie. The point of this scene, in my opinion, was Titus knows that a lot of people believe in Korra or feel like they have a fighting chance because of Korra. Now, Titus, because of what he knows and what Korra says happened, right? He knows that what Korra says happened to Gunnar with Belisarius and the king and the queen and Issa did not happen that didn't happen. Because he literally says, spoiler alert, at the end, no, you didn't kill the princess. So what does that mean? So does that mean you really shot her, right? But then Issa's spirit reincarnated in somebody else? Does that mean, no, you thought you shot her, but you really didn't? You have a false memory. Does it mean that you shot her, but she came back to life? I don't know.
It's the third one because of that healing power she has.
Right? So who knows? So what Titus is doing in this scene is that he's trying to get everyone else to bear their crosses and lay down their shields, so to speak, become open hearts and share with them their dark past, because they're all trying to hide or redeem themselves in a way. Because Titus knows that he is, right? So he wants everyone to know, hey, I'm a general. Y'all all know I'm a general. Y'all all know I'm the best general. I have this reputation. But look what my reputation got me. I was so trusting of the mother world that I ended up getting my entire army destroyed in front of me, right? And now I have to bear that burden because I gave myself up thinking they would spare them, my men. They did not. So you all need to know that this time it's going to be different, and I'm not going to give myself up for y'all. So if you're going to be fighting, you're going to be fighting to the death like me, right? So by doing that, he's getting everyone else to open up, but really he wants Korra to feel comfortable. Okay. So then I think it's after Titus, who's next? Is it Nemesis?
I don't remember the order now. It was
Oh, the scene.
Nemesis.
Actually, it's playing out right now. I have it open on my. Let me see. It is. Yeah, Nemesis. No, Milius. It's Milius, actually. I'm sorry. So then Titus to Milius. This is my favorite flashback. I love Milius's flashback. Love it.
I was so disappointed because we saw Ray Fisher in the trailer. I'm like, oh, Darian's alive, and I see her in the flashback. I'm like, God damn it.
I agree with you. It is very. If I have a criticism, the Blood X's were under. We'll get to that. They're underserved in these movies, but I think that's by design. But this scene, when we see Milius, right, explain their backstory, wearing that, slave type outfit, mining outfit, or whatever, rock cutting, I don't know what it is. And then to see the slave encampment or whatever it is get overrun in a flash, in a one take by the Blood Axes, and the smoke to envelop the scene, and it all turns dark and you can't see anything, but then the blasters just light up the smoke and the atmosphere, and then you see Darian Bloodaxe, Cyborg himself, come in like a badass with his freaking gun and the ship's flying behind him. It's my favorite scene, how the music swells and it just makes Ray Fisher look so badass. I'm like, yeah, buddy, that's our freaking Cyborg. That's Bloodaxe right there. But it shows how she was her perspective, or their perspective, right? Milius is very inspired by that. And I'm sure being saved by somebody brave like that and heroic and selfless what made her take up the fight with the rebels, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, exactly. Is that she was inspired by Blood X. Is that she was, I mean, like kind of similar to the people on Veld. She lived a life like the people on Veld, and when she saw Blood X save them, act so selflessly, exactly, it inspired her, and you see why she's so loyal to Blood X. Is that especially the way they paint that light is that they kind of the way that kind of the lighting's on him. It's just her perspective. Is like this guy's her savior. And I thought it was really cool. And this is what I love about the Last Supper scene is that it was a clever way to get a lot of exposition out on these characters so naturally. Is that it made sense why we learned because we had to learn more about these characters, especially Nemesis, since they killed her off. But spoiler alert again for people who don't know. But I thought it was such a clever way to get the exposition out so quickly on all these characters.
Yeah, like Nemesis. Quickly, you see why she became a vigilante for vengeance, right? So quick.
Oh, you mean Devra Blood Axe Geek Defense? Well, we'll see.
Let's see.
I guess, but yeah, that's why I really love that. I love this whole scene, the whole scene for that reason. I think it was such a good way to get the exposition out, but it really showed Titus step up as a leader because people need to remember in this whole battle, Titus is the leader. He is the one who's in charge of not Cora. I mean, people keep saying Cora, yeah, recruited people, but Titus was the leader, and it humanized all the characters. It humanized all of them too. You see them more than just soldiers. They're people at the end of the day. They're just people who
yes,
care exactly.
Just like you talked about with Nemesis losing her children, right, and wanting to avenge her children. Tarok losing his kingdom, but his parents, right, and all his people from the invasion of the Mother World. And then who else? Of course, Cora, obviously. We know her story, but she doesn't want to be opened up to all their, stories, I don't think, in a sense. So she's the one who holds back while everyone else is humanizing each other.
And I understand why, though, because her story was the most nerve-wracking to tell, is that she killed Princess Issa. I mean, that's her story. And even though Princess Issa wasn't really dead, I mean, she still tried to kill Princess Issa. It's not like as far as we know, at least, she tried to kill Princess Issa. So, yeah, I mean, I see why. And I love how Cora deflects. I love how she immediately deflects and outs Titus for drinking water instead of alcohol, which I thought was what I love about that, it was natural comedy. It was humor that felt natural to the situation. It wasn't like, someone dies and a weird joke is cracked or certain serious moments and let's say the MCU, sorry socks. But sometimes, those serious moments can kind of get killed with a joke every now and again, particularly Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder. But to be fair, even Sox agrees with me on those movies. But anyway, I digress. This was natural humor that worked. And exactly, it wasn't like an MCU movie. That's what I'm saying, is that... And also, too, germ sharing. Here's Tarok just drinking from Titus's chalice. Or what do you call that again?
Flask.
What do you call it? I'm sorry, the...
Flask.
Flask. Oh, right, yeah, flask.
That's what I would call it. I don't know what it's called in this universe, but...
Yeah, I mean, if they don't name it something else, we're just going to call it what it is on Earth, because the way I look at it, they're not speaking English anyways. We're just hearing, at least in my mind, we're just hearing a translated version of what they're really saying, because that would definitely be something. Yeah, we know, Sox, we know. Yeah, exactly. Can't defend Love and Thunder, but overall, it really is a powerful scene, and we can get more to the details of all the characters, because like each of those characters also have their own topic too. But it was just again, it's a calming scene before the storm, but it was a great way. It got the exposition out in a natural way, and it's a great scene. It's probably one of the
Yeah.
best scenes in the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. And it's what people criticize the first one. So just hang on, let Zach cook. Then you're going to get your backstories. Don't worry. We get hints of it all throughout in dialogue, but then he's going to show you in part 2 when it really matters. Got to build it up.
Exactly. And now, before we get to the characters, I just want to kind of go over the score. Like, my God, that score was it's just great throughout. The one, again, as I said earlier, made the farming entertaining. And Noble's score, again, the score that plays for him. I'm telling you, Josh, I still hear elements of the Zack Snyder's Justice League in that score. Do you hear it all, or is it just me?
Oh yeah, I mean Tom Hokenberg, I think his name, not his name, Hokenborg, Junkie XL, he knew what he was doing. Maybe it's by design. Maybe Zach was like, yeah. I mean, essentially in part 1, A Call to Courage, and also there's a track at the end where I forget what the track is called, but when Tarak helps Gunner helps Issa back over the gap, and then you have the shot of the rebels, right?
Helps Issa? Issa's...
I'm sorry, Korra. When you have, basically the scene that's reminiscent of Superman picking up Batman, right? And you have the shot of the rebels. That score is very similar to the Foundation theme from Zack Snyder's Justice League. So the shot of the Justice League music is very kind of reminiscent motifs and certain musical arrangements in Rebel Moon.
Yeah, just reading some of the comments, but yeah. And and it makes sense that he would do that, though. It's kind of a way to connect his movies a little bit more too, because I mean, I think Zach kind of views it all as one Snyderverse in a way. So, Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon are supposed to be connected at some point. So,
I think it's interesting that he's calling this, Rebelverse, right? Because we know what Snyderverse is connected to.
Yeah, it's DC. You have to call that one Snyderverse because DC has a lot of universes, whereas Rebel Moon, there's one universe. Well, 2, I guess, technically, but...
And he even on Vero, I think, said Armyverse. So, Army of the Dead, even though we know. And he also hashtag shared universe. So he's kind of giving, Snyderverse is obviously DC. Army of the Dead, it's connected. Armyverse, Rebelverse, they're connected. So it's interesting. It's just kind of interesting what he's laying out before us.
But little Easter eggs. But the score, though, again, it's just such an interesting score. Even like when they're fighting, and I think it was when Jimmy appears in the battle. I don't know. There was a score that played during that. I really liked that kind of that hopeful score.
Triumphant.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Yep, that's. But that's what I mean. It shows why music's important, though. Music is important to tell the story. I was just gonna say when they're in that scene, kind of when they're partying a little bit, kind of the music I was playing during that scene too.
Very.
I'm sorry.
No, it was very well done. I mean, it gets the sense that this is wartime, but we're gonna have one last camaraderie together of enjoying ourselves and bonding. It's what it is. They literally got all the work done for the wheat done super quick because they banded together. The women and children, even the kids were working, right? And they earned it, so they were able to celebrate and enjoy each other's company one last time before they were being invaded by who.
I guess we have a lot to get through, but any else you want to say about the score in general?
Loved it. I need to listen to it more isolated, just the score, because I did that a lot with part one over the holidays. So I haven't had time really to just listen to that, but I will for sure because I love Junkie XL.
Yeah, same here. I think he's great. I love him in Zeus JL, and I definitely loved him in this movie. In this movie too. I was reading Nightwing's comment about moving at the same time as I was saying movie, so it's like the two wires got crossed together. But yeah, hold on. Now let's get to some of the character stuff. Why do I keep saying character studies? I don't mean studies. I mean just characters. I'm combining these two characters because they kind of a lot of their chemistry is together. But what were your thoughts on these two characters in the movie?
Yeah, I actually really like the beginning with these two characters because I think it gives hints that these actors are going to be more showcased in the director's cuts a lot more. Um, of course, you love Eris because of what he does, standing up for Sam, and basically turning on the bad guys that he came with, right? So Eris becomes a noble character. No pun intended. But Sam also becomes a badass. I love her moments where you see her training with the big gun, right? And she hits her mark, but then when it's time to go, she definitely hits a few Imperial troops with her big gun. So, and of course, Eris, when she's in danger, comes to her aid once again. So these characters are very consistent, right? There's a bond. I'm sure there's more in the director's cuts, but I also love like little details where you see like Eris when they're pulling Korra's ship out. You see Eris going with her to get the ship right and clean it out, and I really liked that touch because he would obviously know what to do. So I feel like there's more. Maybe there should be more between Korra and Eris, right? Because there's another connection like Korra and Titus,
Oh yeah.
another person coming from the mother world. So there's going to be a lot more of this actor Sky Yang. I'm pretty sure in the director's cuts. And Charlotte Maggie is Sam. So I love what little we get of them, but we're going to get more. So what did you think of them?
I love them. Well, first of all, I love that Eris was actually free in the village because I was worried that they were going to be like, "Oh, you're from the mother world, and we're going to totally ignore that you betrayed them right in front of him, right in front of people, and we're going to like keep you prisoner." Like I know, I like that. They trusted him. It's like he put his life on the line to save Sam, and like the village honor that. And besides, Korra cannot judge someone for being from the mother world. She's the last person who gets to not trust someone from because they're from the mother world. So I did like that, and I like how Eris is still kind of trying to be intimidating or trying to act like a dick when he's talking to Cassius. When he's trying to be like, "Oh, these dogs deserve nothing but our boot." He's trying his very best to make it appear that no, 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 we're the mother world is still here. The soldiers are down here still, even though Cassius clearly doesn't buy it. But
Yeah, he does his little attempt at acting, right?
yeah, that's hard to do. You have to act as a bad actor. I always find that would be that would definitely be hard. But I really love his bond with him and Sam because I mean, really, Sam was the reason he defected at the end of the day because Sam was why he fought back, and just that moment when Sam hands him the wheat and he just kind of looks at her and the way that music plays over that, you can tell the two. There's a connection between the two, and I like when they kiss at the end. They just kiss and they hug right after. It's not like they're not a couple right away, but they're getting there. You can tell that there's chemistry between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to look at the circumstances in which Korra had joined the Mother World, right? She was taken as a young kid and basically forced to be a soldier. So Eris probably has the same backstory or something similar. We don't know anything about him, right? What the circumstances were. So when so basically we sense the majority of the people that came to invade Velt, right, are scumbags, right? They're just worthless. They ain't no stormtroopers. These are murdering predators who will do anything, and very impulsive. But not everyone who's on these, scout ships are, the most evil people. There are a few that are, willing to do what's right. And like, Titus says, no, I'm not going to destroy this planet just because they voted for democracy and you don't want that, right? They earned it, right? And then he's punished for that. So there's a similarity between, Titus, Eris, and a little bit between Cora, even though we know what she does, or maybe she doesn't. So
Well, as far as until they reveal otherwise, I'm treating her like she does, but definitely be a very Zack Snyder thing to do. And I like Sam's character too. I like that Sam, as you said, she is a badass. That she just happened to be a naturally good shooter. But I like that. I like how they did it though. That she got a few shots in, but it wasn't like she's not a trained soldier. It wasn't like she was able to shoot everyone flawlessly. Like no, I mean she got some shots in, but she will also needed to be saved too. But it worked both ways. That's what I loved about it, is that she wasn't just a damsel, but she wasn't just a soldier either. She was that in between point. Saved people, but also needed saving. How any kind of team effort should be.
and it's very timely, like kind of like the wheat thing I was referring to in our real world. I know you don't like to get political or anything, but the world we live in right now doesn't have a lot that protects, very young girls from certain atrocities, right?
Yeah.
No,
you're right.
That's the reality, that the laws have been kind of rolling back, right? So this scene, I did watch Rebel Moon Part 1, that one scene with the barn with Sam. I showed it to my 12-year-old niece, and my mom was watching too. And I was like, I prefaced and I told Mom, this is going to seem real edgy and very tense scene, but I promise you it's going to be okay. She's like, okay. She didn't know what, but I basically, my niece was watching, and my niece watches stuff that she shouldn't be watching on Netflix. I know this, right? But my mom was just kind of like, oh, I don't want her to see that. And I talked to her afterwards and I was like, look, like she needs to know that there's not everyone is good in this world, right? And you need to be able to protect yourself and defend yourself and speak up, essentially. And so, not to get too real, but I think there was a reason why Zack put this. He didn't, put it in there to be controversial, right? But he's talked about that because he hates predators, right? We've seen that consistently in his movies. They get their just
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead, Watchmen, Sucker Punch. It's very prevalent. Batman v Superman and Batman, with the sex traffickers. So
right, yeah,
that's something that Zack is very passionate about and will speak out about in his movies if you're paying attention. So I love that in part 2 we see that Sam, because she's traumatized, right, by that experience, she knows that she can't do the same. She can't be helpless in that moment. Once again, she's got to stand up for herself, and she's armed herself to protect herself from predators. So I just love that I love seeing Sam being a badass. I was like, yeah, girl, let's go. When you see her take off those troops. So, and then Eris just comes in with the
and got the weak points of the armor too. Like he having been from the Mother World, I saw someone comment on this. Since has worked for the Mother World, he knows where the armor is. So the weak points of the armor is. So, but yeah, and that's I really like what you just said. I mean, and you're right. I mean, again, yes, I don't like to get too political on here, but obviously, if it's in the movie, I'm not going to say, like, I reviewed Barbie. Obviously, I wasn't going to not talk about the patriarchy scenes in that movie, because that would basically be like. So the point is, like, yeah, I mean, that is a reality, and even in this other world, there are bad people out there. There are bad men out there who will do stuff, and I'm the same way. Let me kind of preface what I'm about to say, because out of context. I'm the same way as Zach. If I see anyone putting their hands on a woman without consent, doing anything to a woman without consent, I don't feel sorry for what happens to that man that afterwards. I don't. So, and that's a good point you said, is that she went through a lot. That's a traumatized. I mean, I can't speak on this experience because I've never been through this experience, but I can only imagine that that's something that's really traumatizing, and it's something that you don't want to feel that helpless again. So, and what up? We got Sin Havoc in the chat. Thanks for stopping by, man.
I see what you did there, Sin Havoc. Hint, hint.
But I really, again, that's a really, I really though, the, oh my God, I can't even talk right now. I really love that you brought that up though, Josh, because that's a really great point that I didn't even think of. But yeah, absolutely right. And I just, these two are great characters, and I really hope we see more. Okay, good. I accidentally hit in the comment. I thought I hit end stream for a second.
Oh no, you're good.
Okay, all right. Actually, I think I hit it, but like you have to hit it twice for it to do it. So anyway, yeah, I think it was a really good. I really hope to see more of them in the director's cuts.
Definitely.
And now, this character. And I'll be honest, he was kind of a nothing character in part one, and I didn't really want to say anything on the spoiler-free review because this guy you cannot really talk about until without getting into the spoilers. Because he doesn't have a lot, but what he does have is great, is when he's fighting Noble on the ship, and he went after him. And that was a noble attempt. Ha 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 ha. But I mean, I knew when he jumped on that ship that he's not the main character. He's not the one who gets to kill the big bad of the movie. So, and Noble's not going to let him live either. So, I knew Noble then sealed his own fate.
Yep. The hunter became the prey, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And what are you laughing about, Sin Havoc? I don't know because I didn't pull up. I'm actually asking because I always pull up these comments late. So, but yeah, and he was a badass fighter. He was another one who was fighting in the Mother World. I think wasn't he one of the people who he even blew up one of the ships even as when the ships took off.
When he comes out, yeah, he throws a bomb in there, and yeah, he definitely takes out some troops for sure. Shout out to Brad Cage. Ever since I knew of
Wait, that's Brad Cage
from Army of Thieves. So
yeah, I gotta pay more attention to this stuff.
So who's to say, and of course he's actually going to be in Twilight of the Gods as well. So we know Zach loves working with Stuart Martin. So shout out to that actor. But yeah, he goes toe to toe with Noble. And I think we and all as audience members know how crazy Noble is, after we see him get so pissed off after getting almost blown up by the bazooka, in that guerrilla warfare trench scene. But Noble, man, I just love how he kind of toys with Din, in their fight, and just kind of like makes sure to like look at him in the face, like pulls him straight and just like shoves him away, and then literally stabs him and like looks him in the eye, and then like lets him fall back off the ship. Right? It just shows how sick Noble is. But hey, courageous effort by Din. I'm sure we're going to see more of him in the director's cut as well, from hints I've gotten from people that have read the novel. So shout out to Stuart Martin.
Yeah, I hope to see more of him in the director's cut too. And I better watch Army of Thieves again because I didn't even notice. I guess maybe it's the way he's dressed, or how did I not notice that?
He looks a little bit. I've heard a lot of people say that he looks like Hugh Jackman in this movie more. So that's probably why his hair's a little longer, beard's a little. He's probably a little bit more beefed up than Brad Cage. He's a little bit more suave looking. But yep, there's an Army of Thieves connection again.
What's ironic though, Brad Cage, he loved these action hero movies. That would be the exact character that Brad Cage would want to be. So
exactly, you're getting it, Bad Dan.
Now another character who I wish we saw more of this guy in the movie, because this guy, to me, this is Korra's real adoptive father. Because he's the one who took her in. He's the one who took her in, and unlike Belisarius, he actually loved Korra.
Ruth Vane.
Wait, what? How do I miss this stuff? My God, I am so bad at recognizing these faces. I'm so terrible at faces.
That is Pa Kent in this universe. But yeah, in another universe, he's Icelandic head
Are you
honcho.
talking? Are you talking about the Zeus Richard Citrone?
No, I'm talking about the Iceland scene with Aquaman.
No, I mean,
Oh,
sorry, talk.
there's another character in Red Moon that was in Army of the Dead.
Richard Citrone,
Mm-hmm.
but but and especially like I guess he also does the accent. I guess he has a beard too,
yeah,
and he has and the accent too. He definitely has a more non-Icelandic accent.
yeah,
Scandinavia. I don't know. It's Iceland, Scandinavia. Technically, I don't know.
yeah. I like that I kind of wanted, I never said this, but I kind of wanted a little bit more of him and Korra in part one. But there was enough in part two where you see him, kind of being on more prominent in the village, right? And you even see him with the hammer, right? And so
Oh,
I like those little moments.
really? But yeah, I mean, well, especially yeah, I like those two. I like those moments too. But also, he stepped up as the village leader. Basically, he was essentially the new village leader after Sindri died.
Exactly. That's what it kind of seemed like, right? That
I
he's
mean,
kind
he's
of
the one took charge. Someone had to, right? And but yeah, I definitely would have liked to see more of this character, and I hope to see him more in the director's cuts, which is a common thing I think we're going to say throughout.
yeah.
Now, Nemesis. There is one thing that really bothered me about her death scene. I have to be honest with you. This really bothered me. When Nemesis dies, she tells the boy, "You did good." No, it's "you did well." Good is an adjective, well is an adverb. In her dying moment, she taught a kid bad grammar.
Wow. I've never been blading out of a molten sword stab wound, so I'm not going to judge her too much on that.
Oh no, I will. That's not an excuse.
We know you hate women, Dan. It's fine.
Great, that's good. That's gonna get me canceled. I hate bad grammar equally of all genders and sexes or whatever
Equal
politically
opportunity.
correct. Exactly. I'm an equal opportunity hater on bad grammar. We'll say that.
Okay.
It's the lady that was working for her daughter in Army of the Dead. Wait, what? Looking for her daughter. Oh, I know you're talking about Army of the Dead, but who was she in Army of Thieves? Or not Army of Thieves, sorry. Rebel Moon. Was she one of the villagers? Because that one I definitely wouldn't recognize because she would have been a background character,
Maria?
but
That? Oh, the other girl. Oh, okay, I see. I know who you're talking about now.
But in all seriousness, though, I really love the bond that Nemesis has with the boy in this movie because you remember she lost her kids, and now this is kind of like a pseudo adoptive son. Like the scene where the little boy kind of puts that wheat in Nemesis' nose, and Nemesis. I thought that Nemesis was gonna get really annoyed by him, but then I like that she actually smiled a little bit because she just appreciates a kid being a kid.
Yeah. And you see that in a way, her guard and her defenses are coming down around this kid, right?
Yes, socks. Anyway, go on.
We see her obviously. So I said earlier in the Last Supper scene that Milius is my favorite, and it is in a sense as far as visually, right? How it plays out, and Zach directed that. But as far as the writing goes for Nemesis's backstory, I loved hers the most. How she explains just how the blades lusted for her blood, right? And so her ancestral blood unlocked those blades, and it's so dark and it's so nihilistic and just like really dark and for not really hopeful at all. It shows you a different Nemesis, but in these interactions with the wheat farming, we see Nemesis doing, the wheat, the beautiful wheat, the slow-mo, right? The interactions with the kid. And one of my favorite but heartbreaking scenes, and I told you about it, is when you see the kid give her her banner with the storm, right? It's funny.
Yeah.
The storm. I don't know if you heard earlier. We're having a flash flooding here, so there's a storm here as well. Nemesis is here, but you see her crying and trying to embrace the flag, the banner, and it's with her metal arms, and she can't actually feel it, and she's crying because she's touched, but she can't actually feel it because she's become so like detached as a person, but then this kid is making her feel again, and it's just so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. I hate it, but I love it.
That was because I know you brought that up in the watch party, and that was actually a really good point. Again, this is what I love about Zack Snyder is that there's stuff you pick up on that you didn't pick up on the first time or the second time. Little details. That's why one reason why Zack is such a great director and writer. No, Zack does not need a ghostwriter, people. But anyways, that was just another cool detail about this character, and I love the way that she was a badass fighter, that she was the one who was protecting all the women and children. She was the one who took on Richard Citrone, took on our Batman and our Zeus and all his men.
Pretty much the whole Kryptonian, fleet, right? Pretty much. Like she fought valiantly, right? And shout out to that little kid who somebody in the watch party was saying was little Zack Snyder. But he got in there and he gave Batman a little right in the leg, but that gave Nemesis the opportunity to pull it out and get him right here, in the jugular. So the kid did save Nemesis, and I would say the other villagers in a sense. Yeah, Nemesis didn't, make it, but if the kid didn't do it, he did. That Kryptonian soldier, Batman, Richard Citrone, would have probably killed more. So, in a sense, he did do good or well.
Yeah, he did well. He did not do good. And I really want to see a Nemesis prequel series now. I mean, that's what I really want to see. If they were to do a spin-off, that's what I want to see.
I think we have to, right? Because there's a template now, because we didn't get a lot of Blood Axes, right? And we got a comic book, right, that just finished. So we know that Nemesis is such a fan favorite character. I have a shirt with her eyes on it, her beautiful, gorgeous Dunabe eyes. Love it. I love those little scenes where even she's looking at the ship, right, when they're coming down, and she's in front of the barn with her hat. She just kind of gives them a look. She's just like, all right, it's go time. Get behind me, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just, I want those molten swords. I don't know about you, but I really want some.
Yeah, I would love to have a molten sword. That would be cool. Unfortunately, though, blue's my favorite color, so it'd have to be aligned with the mother world.
I mean, hey, that's my favorite color too. That's why I love your background right now.
Oh, right, yeah. That's why one reason I love it too. And I don't know, I even told Austin that blue is my favorite color, so
I think he just knows you that well. You've been such a great member of the community, so he knows what's up.
and also sometimes you mention things in passing too. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But sometimes you just mention things in passing too that like there was one time when rest in peace, Mikey Sutton, where he was talking about my character for Dreamwalker was named, the initials for my character was DJ. DJ, and then a name that was similar to my last name, but John is my middle name. So I was like, wait, Mikey, did I ever tell you my last name? Because it's not something I would keep a heavily guarded secret, so I might have just mentioned it without knowing. And then so it's like I get, so that's kind of what it is with this too. It's like I just mentioned blue is my favorite color and don't even remember it. But
he probably was listening. You never know when we're on streams who's listening, and maybe like me, I've told y'all, like, I was always listening to y'all. I wasn't engaging in the chat, so y'all didn't know who I was, but I knew who y'all were. So you never know. You never know who's paying attention.
Exactly. But But yeah, but still, Nemesis though, great character. I guess any final thoughts on this character?
So well done. I know that in the director's cuts, there's going to be dismemberment, there's going to be gore, there's going to be blood splatters, there's going to be a whole lot of limbs being lost. I can tell. So I can't wait, and I can tell her sequence is more extended because I really if I had a little criticism, like the shot that happens right before she gets stabbed kind of cuts. It's like Cora. It goes from Cora and Gunner straight to her, like slicing one guy and then getting stabbed. So it's just like real quick. So I could tell because Zach was working with the limited PG version of that fight sequence, right? I could tell that he was just kind of splicing in those scenes in between the PG versions. So I know in the director's cut, whatever that's called, but I'll just say that it's going to be a bloody battle with Nemesis for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And and it's funny because when they kill her off, there's so much time left of the movie still. There's about 40 minutes left of the movie. So,
Very true. Yeah.
but now on to this guy right here.
Jimmy, my homeboy.
I'll be honest, if any character was going to get killed off, I actually thought Zack Snyder was going to kill off Jimmy
Really?
because, well, I'll tell you why. It's because I'm just being realistic here. Anthony Hopkins is 87 years old. Not like he's going to be. I mean, again, when someone dies, I do want to make it clear that a person's life is always more important than a story or a movie. But at the same time, if you know that someone doesn't have long left, you may not plan for 6 years with them. So that's why. I mean, I'll be honest. That's why I thought that. But because, like, I'll be honest with you, Austin. At least this Jimmy. I'm not talking about to do another Jimmy, like another Jimmy. But this Jimmy, now I can't imagine anyone else voicing him that's not Anthony Hopkins because he does such a great job with this character.
I agree. Like he brings it to life, right? And makes it so the gravitas of the character, the you just get engrossed by the design. Like I watched the first hour of part 2 with my mom. And that scene when Titus, I forgot to mention that Titus gives that beautiful, song, warrior song or prayer that he sings, and you see Jimmy, at several instances throughout the movie looking over Velt, but in this instance, he's looking at the village at nighttime, but he's also becomes touched by the beauty in Titus's voice. And he's so wide-eyed and just like looking up at the stars. And my mom was like, "Oh my goodness, he's adorable." And I was like, "I know, right?" And I was like, but that's a killing machine at the same time, right? Made to kill and do battle, but somebody who also is able to feel and emote with just a limited, you see these little lights that light up, but when you combine this with Anthony Hopkins' powerful, elegant voice, right? You get an amazing character like JC1435, who hates to be called Jimmy, Bat Dan. So why did the marketing team put Jimmy? I told Bat Dan that apparently
Oh right,
there
about.
was a featurette recently released on Rebel Moon's Instagram that calling him Jimmy is actually derogatory. So when you have that Batman, I thought Jimmy was Batman. I mean, look at the ears, look at the cape, right? He's standing ominously over Velt from a distance, like a guardian protector, a dark knight.
Well, Sin Havoc says he's both, so I'm not going to argue with him.
Well, throughout, at the beginning, I would say, especially in the Batcave scene, you have Cora turning around and she gets startled because Jimmy's right there. That's so Batman, right? But then later, of course, we get our Superman-esque, out into the light, right? He's in darkness at first, but then he comes out into the light. So yes, I agree. He becomes Batman and Superman all in one. But yeah, I think that scene is really powerful when you hear Cora call him James, and he's touched by that. He starts feeling more emotions, right? And he's very reminded about he does have the power to have an impact and have a legacy, essentially. And what does he want his legacy to be? Does he want it to be a destruction and death and murder, or one that's capable of having compassion, right? Well, unfortunately, when you have compassion, you got to protect the people that you have compassion for. Sam unlocks that in part 1, and he bonds with the entire village because of that. And so we get our Superman moment. What did you think in your theater when you saw that happen?
There was clapping. I think I was clapping during that scene. Like, that was just so impressive. He was just such a badass in that scene. The way he was, it was, to me, that was the warehouse scene. That was basically the BVS warehouse scene when he's just wiping out those soldiers like nothing and just jumping in the tank and blowing it up. And Dustin something. What's
Citron? Starts with a C.
Jimmy actor. Oh, right. Better type in Rebel Moon. That might help.
Yeah, he's in that.
Yeah, Dustin Seathamayer. I'm just gonna. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy it. I'm going to go to the comments section. I'm going to.
There it is.
This guy right here.
Sighthammer. That's right. Yeah.
And thanks for stopping by, DC Talk. But it shows you gotta. It's like David Prowse, Darth Vader. You gotta also give knowledge to the actual actor portraying them too, because they do like Dustin does a great job. Because like, I mean, I'll be honest. In part 1, it's basically Anthony Hopkins all the way. But in part 2, especially with that fight scene, like no, I mean Dustin too. He also made me like Jimmy even more.
Oh yeah, his seeing how he filmed, and I referenced you and what he said in that special feature about Jimmy is that I don't know if Anthony Hopkins just did like a blurb or gave a little snippet of what he wanted Jimmy's voice to be, but the actor was able to hear how the voice was going to sound from Anthony Hopkins. So that kind of helped the actor, Dustin, portray some of those movements from Jimmy, right? So I don't know if like later on, Anthony Hopkins re-recorded the actual lines after seeing Dustin do the performance, right? But Dustin was able on set to know what Anthony Hopkins' voice would be like doing some of the lines. So I think that was really clutch for the production, for Zach and everyone to do that. So Dustin gave a great physical presence in these scenes. And he's a tall dude. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's really tall.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy was tall. Let's see. I'm gonna look. 6'8". Damn.
Yeah, he's tall as Jimmy.
Wow. And it's just the way Jimmy goes, or I'm sorry, Zack Snyder, but they market it as Jimmy. It's in my head now.
I mean, I have a shirt with it, so I'm going to call him Jimmy. Jimmy's my homeboy. So sorry if it's a derogatory.
Until they say it in canon, I'm still going with Jimmy. But the way Jimmy goes, you can't win to Cora and just runs away. But then he's like, no, he turns around, he comes in when he's needed.
Yep.
And
he's going to do what's the right thing, right? At the right time.
Plus, it seems like Anthony Hopkins even recorded more lines for the director's cuts. Because, like, I thought he just, I mean, like, well, I know there was additional stuff, but, like, I thought that was all already done. But what I'm saying is recently he did this. Zack Snyder, he posted that photo on Vero with him and Anthony Hopkins.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to get a lot more Jimmy. Zach has already said in part 1, he has his own little, Velt story, basically. And we see how he gets the antlers. And then in part 2, he's also said that Jimmy has a whole, like, completely separate storyline going on. So can't wait for more Jimmy. My homeboy.
Same here. Now I want to go to Tarak. Another great character in this movie too. And it's funny, Josh, you're the one who pointed out that they did say Prince in part 1. They did say Prince Tarak, but the way it's just said, it kind of just rolls over your head. But it's like, no, this guy was a prince. And you feel bad for him because his dad tried to make peace. He died. his mom committed suicide right in front of him, and he fled. And I understand it in some ways. Yeah, you have to protect the bloodline, even though like escaping danger seems cowardly. In this case, it made sense. It was being practical, but at the same time, it was hard for him. It was a difficult thing he had to do, and he hated it, and he felt guilty about it because like he's human. He should feel bad about doing that. And
Yeah.
I just have to wonder, how did he end up from there to working for Ray Porter as a slave with a debt to his? I forgot his real name. I'm just calling him Ray Porter. But
yeah, he's got I think like I said this, his backstory surprised me the most out of everyone. And it's very tragic, of course, like you said, but I just know that Zach is teasing in that flashback. We see the tons of the white, glorious looking Banus, right? Armies of them taking down Imperial scout ships, that there's going to be so much more with Terok in future installments, where I do feel like he was a little bit, like you do want to see more, right? It was surprising to me, his backstory. So I wanted more. And there's a lot more to fill in with his character. So I just know, since we're dealing with nobility, I think Retro Nerd Girl on one of the breakdowns talked about this, how like there's people who like Terok, they could possibly step into the role of the king, possibly, if there needs to be a new, ruler. So we'll see. Is Terok somehow connected, right, to this noble family, royal family, or could he somehow take up the throne? I don't know. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, that could be it. He has experience. I mean, he has experience in that department, and it's funny. Terok says a boy doesn't become a king. Oh, a boy doesn't become a man or a king till his father dies. Which is why I've always criticized, even before this movie, I've always criticized Simba for singing "I Can't Wait to Be King." I just can't wait to be king, because he was saying the whole time, I just can't wait for my dad to die.
Yeah.
So
you got a point. You do have a point.
So thank you. I just want to point that out there, because even as a kid, I caught on that. I was like, really, Simba? Really? But anyway, I don't want to get too off topic here. But speaking of dying, though, I love Tarek's, like, he wants, after fleeing, you feel bad that he has a noble death. That he wants a noble death after feeling bad for fleeing. But here's the thing, even noble, and now I don't mean Atticus, by the way. Even noble, you don't want a death. You shouldn't want to die. You shouldn't want to die for the greater good. If it happens, if that's the only thing you can do, you should be willing to. But I like when he kind of slowly goes through that. He even tells one of the villagers, save the dying for their enemies. And then later he's talking to Millie. It's like, I don't want to die.
Yeah. When you actually get to that moment, it's scary, but he's doing the brave thing, and he's doing what he didn't do for his mother and father and their kingdom. So he gets his redemption.
Yeah, exactly. And now Milius. I've said this last time, or a spoiler-free review. I did not care about this character at all in part 1. Because I'm just like, or Darian Bloodaxe should have lived. Ray Fisher should have lived. But in part 2, I think that's just why. You just didn't see enough of her, really, in part 1. She was just kind of there and just happened to be the last of that little tribe to survive. But in part 2, you saw more of her backstory. And there's something I caught on, Josh. You know how she says she grew up in a village just like this one on Velt? When they're all going in for supper or whatever, they get that ceremony to get their flags, she turns around and just looks at the village.
Yep.
And it was like she's totally reminiscing about her time at her homeland.
Yep. I totally got that every single time that I watched them, even the first time. Yeah. Milius became one of, I could see, the criticisms you saw. I liked that character because they were the first person to step up, right? When Blood X gives that rousing, sacrificing speech about who of you are willing to die for what you believe in, then hide. I forget the quote now. I just blanked out. Sorry, I just got a message.
I know you're talking about,
but
like actually fighting for what they believe in.
Right. And you really see that in part 2 that Milius is willing to die for the cause, right? The villagers. What the Blood Axes believed, Milius is going to carry that out and avenge Darien, because she's really distraught by seeing his death, right? So
his death, we'll see about that still. I'm just saying there's 4 more movies.
And Milius
anyway, I'm sorry, go.
Yeah. I mean, takes down that little, I don't know what you call it, that little turret thing straight up in with a bazooka, goes in there brave as AF, and gets knocked out by it. She's so close. But I love Milius. I think it's the sun is what Sam dubs her, with her flag, protecting everyone, and she does. She shines her light when it's needed.
The Nightwing, just so you know, I've never really seen Star Trek. I watched 1 or 2 movies, but I've never actually got into Star Trek. I do know Klingon from The Big Bang Theory, though. But yeah, and when Milius sees Darien in that flashback, and again, you see it just helps her why she is so distraught with Darien, but that's what we needed. We needed to see more of her backstory. We needed to see more about her. And you know what's funny though is that I did actually kind of forget about her during the battle at first because there's so much going on. And then when Milius appeared, I was kind of like, even after Nemesis died, I was like, Milius appears. I'm like, oh, right. Milius is in this. I will admit I did kind of forget about her though during that first part of the battle, but there was so much going on there. The battle was keeping me really engaged that. But that was actually smart though too. He's like, you don't put all your best players out right away when you're in a fight. You don't want to throw all the best people out right away. No, you want to keep some of the better people in reserve, in the back end, in the some of the back lines of defense, because then the soldiers get cocky. They think, oh, we got through these guys, so now everyone else will be easier. No,
yeah. Shout out to Milius for being the only remaining Blood X from part 1.
Yeah, because this woman, she just came at the last minute. She came at the last minute after. I mean, no, granted, she was useful because if she didn't show up with the other guys, like with the alien Zack Snyder, for those who don't know, was that actually confirmed or was that just a theory?
Oh, it's been confirmed as his voice, I think, but I don't know if it's him in the makeup. But that scene just played on my computer here as I'm watching it on another tab. So yeah, you see 2 Blood X's, Deborah, and it looks like another female who was in part 1 and with short hair, and then you see the alien. So yeah, the Blood X's, that was a little bit of my criticism. Came a little bit late, but at the same time, like to your point, they were needed, right? They would have not won and defended Velt without the Blood Axes coming in. I just wanted more because those freaking, aerial battles look so cool. We only got like a little taste of it. And I'm like, come on, Zach, I know you can give us more. So I'm sure we'll probably get a little bit more of that in director's cut. So I'm being patient and letting Zach cook.
And we'll also see Endeavor's still alive. She's fighting with Korra now. So we'll definitely see more. I'm sure we'll see more space battles when they're in space because this was about protecting their little village.
Sure, exactly.
But I would say this though, as much as we're kind of making fun of Deborah, the thing is she had to go through her own little arc too. Is that she was thinking, no, we can't help. We have to think about the greater good. But then she needed to be reminded every person mattered. And besides, it's not like she waited necessarily till the end of the battle. It's not like they were necessarily next door to Velt. Right. So, plus, I mean, she probably didn't. Because you wonder, did she know about her brother's death before she got there, or did she find out sometime afterwards. That's what I would like to see that on-screen reaction because I don't like actually. That's actually one of my criticisms of Bad Batch. Actually, season 3 is a certain character dies in season 2, and you don't see their on-screen reactions to some of these other characters who this other person meant a lot to, or Smallville when fake Jimmy Olsen died and Lois Lane never even reacts or acknowledges his death. That one still gets me too. Smallville writers who think they're so high and mighty criticizing Snyder. But anyway, I digress. I would like to see that. Would have liked to see Deborah find out more about, like on screen, about her brother dying. Still not convinced though, because I'm just saying. I know, Josh, you pointed out that maybe Zach killed off Darien because he's needed for Rebel Moon or not Rebel Moon, ZSJL 2 and 3. I say, yeah, but Zach did it in a way where he could still show up in maybe part 5 or 6 even and be alive because we did not see enough of Darien for him to like Nemesis. I'm fine with her being dead. We saw a lot of her. We saw enough of her that whereas Darien we just didn't. So
yeah, and he's such a cool design too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I'm just saying it's a bad look when you throw iteration at another artist. For an artist to throw iteration at another artist, it's just a really bad look. It's not just them giving their opinion. So but yeah. But still I really like Deborah and I hope to see more of her and it seems like we are gonna see more of her. So now this character, Cassius. It's funny because we didn't really see a lot of him in part 1. He was just kind of there. But in part 2, I was like so surprised to actually see him have this big role just of how little he was in part 1. But I mean, again, I know you said he actually has your last name, doesn't he?
Yeah, we share. I ended up like following because of like all my Rebel Moon, like following a fan account. He has a big following. And so I see like posts of the actor, more so on Instagram and Twitter a lot. But yeah, Cassius is somebody who I'm very interested in. People were, theorizing, does he go down with the King's Gaze?
Nope. You don't see it, so it didn't happen. Because I do know he is a very famous actor from Mexico. So I know he's very famous in that culture. And I don't feel like Zach would cast someone of that caliber to play a role in a movie and then give him an off-screen death.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if somebody has a grievance, right, maybe against the rebels. But I do think that Cassius is somebody who's kind of, he does what he's ordered, but at the same time, when Noble wants to destroy Belt, he's like, what about our men? He kind of speaks up and kind of pushes back to Noble. So he's not necessarily just like cutthroat like Noble, but he does it, right? He's gonna do what he's ordered to, but he kind of gives pushback at first. He's like, what about our men? Like he has a sense of camaraderie and Noble doesn't.
But he still, at the end of the day, he still went through it. He still went through with it. And also, he should not have let Noble kill one of the medical people, because, again, in any structure, and I'm just saying, in any kind of good run structure, the instant that a doctor has authority over you, even if you, in theory, rank above them because your medical needs come first. It's like, remember in Clone Wars when Rex was injured, and even though Rex was captain of the 501st, the medical clone officer's like, hey, in this medical situation, I actually outrank you.
Right.
That's how it should be. So Cassius let Noble do that. I'm just saying. Right. But he was an interesting character, though. Just the way he could tell that he wasn't being fooled by Eris lying. Like, you could tell on his face that he's like, Eris, quit pulling my leg. I know you're lying.
Yes. Like yeah. I like it. I like seeing how different, Noble is So you see Cassius trying to have like logic and, he's a little bit more down to earth than Noble, because Noble's just out for vengeance. And that's where you see Cassius kind of shine, because Noble's just super cutthroat, right?
Yeah, and Cassius is kind of the voice of reason in a way.
Yeah, 100%.
He's so calm in the movie. The way he delivers every line, he has like this kind of calm demeanor.
Very true.
I don't know. He's not dead. I'm just saying he is not. If he was dead, Zach would have shown him die. He would have been shown to crash. He would have been on one of the ships that we would have seen taken out. As far as I'm concerned, he flew. He fled.
He fled.
And got away.
Hopefully.
Now, this streaming art is so annoying. Atticus Noble, that son of a bitch, and I love that they gave him his F-bomb, because all PG-13 movies, they get one F-bomb.
What is?
And I love
what's his F-bomb?
those Yeah,
Oh.
in the ship, the effing farmers,
Yeah.
a bunch of effing farmers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was such a cool. I thought that was, I don't know. That's what I always love, and I always say PG-13 movies. You get one F-bomb, so if you're gonna get one F-bomb, you better make it good. But my God, Noble is such a badass. Like I hate him. Like, I'm glad they killed him off for real this time. I even said you got to behead him because he's not going to live otherwise. But the way he just jumps out down that trench and just goes through all the villagers like nothing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. He's out like breaking necks and really like just shooting people right in the back. Shout out to Ed Screen. Like I said on Bat Channel's Watch Party, Noble is really, I love Francis or Ajax from Deadpool. That's kind of like what I know him to be. But really, this role has, because of Zack Snyder, caused him to shine so much, be a super charismatic villain that you almost kind of like I know Skywalker like loves, like that's probably one of his favorite characters. And I get that because he's kind of like charming in part one, right? But after what he goes through, he gets defeated by Korra. He's just out for vengeance, right? And he's ruthless. But even though we see what we see, like I was saying, like how he takes out Din and just like looks at him in the face and just like stabs him and lets him fall. And then at the end when he's choking Korra and like, look at me, look me in the eyes. He's just so sadistic. But imagine what we're going to get in the director's cuts. My body count is crazy, fam. That's what he told Sky. So,
he actually, again, I may have mentioned this in the spoiler-free review, but he really reminded me a lot about Governor Price from Star Wars Rebels.
yes.
Because remember, as I said, like from that review, I said that Price destroyed Thrawn's fuel supply line because he was so desperate to get that win in killing the Jedi. Only she did more harm to the Empire than good in that. And when Cassius was about to destroy the grain, just for their own ego, just be like, oh well, I got Korra, so I don't need the grain. I'm just thinking how reckless that really was, because not only did he forget his own men, those soldiers need to eat still. I mean, yeah, there's less mouths to feed because you're killing the soldiers, but the grain was going to feed more than just those men on the ground. And certainly, I'm just saying, I don't think the Mother World would have let that go. I don't think the Mother World would have, if he destroyed the grain and came back to them, I think that he would have been executed for not following orders, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, how I kind of saw it was that ship, the King's Gaze, has orders, but Belisarius gave Noble his own little mission, right? And that's all he's focused on is the Scargiver, right? Because of that astral plane vision we see at the end of part one. Belisarius threatens, if you don't bring her in front of, the Senate, I think is what he calls it. Then I'm going to have your head in front of, so there's a threat over his head, right? Literally his head is riding on this. So I kind of rationalized it as that Noble is operating you know, for his own good. He doesn't really care. He's got his own mission. He doesn't really care about what everyone else is doing. So that's just shows how sadistic and self, important that he thinks he is, because he's trying to move up in the ranks in the world. So
and not get executed by Belisarius.
Yep, exactly.
And this character, Titus, I love the way, again, that how he steps up as leader at the end of the day. He steps up as a leader for this battle. It's like he came up with battle plans. He's the one who came up with the grain. He's using the grain as a weapon, essentially, or not a weapon, as a shield, and came up with the strategies for the battle. He did that.
The whole MVP for me of part 2 is Titus. Like Djimon Hounsou, amazing actor, so many good roles, but never utilized to his full potential. And this shows him as the hero character that he can be, and super essential, right? He's basically the leader of this resistance. It's not really Korra. Korra's like our hero, right? But she's still battling demons and traumas throughout this narrative of part 2. And we see her lose some stuff, right? But Titus is really the one that's all in with doing what needs to be done to protect these people and preparing them for the realities of war. And so I think Titus was super essential for this village to stand a chance, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Because and I'll kind of say this when we talk about the battle, but they're farmers. I know farmers can be athletic and whatnot, but they're not trained fighters. They're not going to beat the entire mother world with hand-to-hand combat, and Titus knew this. So he came up with the strategy. He used the farmer strengths and exploited the weaknesses that he knew from the mother world, because he worked for them.
Yeah, but he's essential because he kind of knows him with Korra. We're able to know the protocols, right? Korra helped them. Titus knew them too, but she was a little bit more aware, being right next to Belisarius's, side. So it's Titus who really has the overall big picture plan that ends up being successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy is smart too. He knows that Korra was lying. In part 1, when Korra's like, "You really believe the guy who sold you out that I'm Artheleus?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay." He knew. And then when Korra confessed, he's like, "I know, I totally know," but he wanted Korra to tell everyone on her own. But again, he shows to be a good leader. He cares about his troops. And yeah, he's definitely in my top. He's definitely in my top 3. I'll say that. I still love Jimmy. I might even put him as number 2, honestly. Right under my boy Jimmy. Because think about it. He goes from this drunken loser, essentially, in part 1, to this awesome general in part 2. It's kind of like they talk about him in part 1. Oh, he's a great general. He's a great general. And in part 2, you see it.
Yeah,
you actually see it. There's a saying, show don't tell, and that's what Zach does. And that's what the people who, again, didn't want to wait for part 2. When Zach said it's a 2-parter movie, you gotta watch them back to back.
And it makes Titus, in my opinion, one of the biggest reactions. The biggest reaction was Jimmy saving Milius and Terok in the trenches with his little Superman moment. But the second biggest ovation was when Hagen's like, "Titus, yeah," and Titus is like, "Rah!" Djimon Hounsou lets out that roar, celebratory roar, full of passion, and you feel that on the screen, right? And we were just all like, "Yeah!" in our theater. What was it like for y'all?
Yeah, we were definitely clapping during that when the battle was over. When everyone. And again, I'll tell you this, Josh. I don't clap in movies. I do not clap in movies. But I was clapping during this movie. And of course, Sox would bring up a Marvel analogy. But hey, that's why I brought him on for my Marvel show. So that's why I brought him on with my co-host for the Marvel show.
Wild Man of Borneo. Shut
Oh
up.
yeah, you're an X-Men fan. Would you agree with this? Would you agree
Oh,
with this?
oh yeah. Nathaniel definitely gives me those Titus vibes.
And you know what? Titus did too. Titus sang. He actually sang in this movie. And I think that's the best. I love the way he has such a beautiful voice. And I'm surprised that Sox like the guy who sang, because I know he loves to talk about his hatred for musicals. So that's the character that Sox likes, the one who sings. That's how we know that Sox really loves musicals.
I can't do justice to Titus, but you're right.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna try to do that. I mean, I did some choir in high school and a little bit of college, but Namaho. Yeah, I love how I just portray my own principles. I'm like, I'm not gonna try to do it, and then the instant guitar says to do it, I just go for it.
Dance, monkey, dance.
But yeah, I mean, another great character. I mean, he's honestly someone else who has potential to be a protagonist. Like when I say protagonist, I mean like the main character, like the main.
Yeah, he steps up from part one. I could see how people wanted more of him if you're a fan of Jimon Hansu, but we got it in part two, so he's probably going to be integral in the battles to come in 3 and 4. So gotta stay tuned.
Oh sure, Titus just gets a ass for singing. Oh, okay, Socks, if you say so. And yeah, glad to see he got a more serious role than the Wizard and that goofy character in Guardians. So,
Yeah.
and speaking of that of Guardians of the Galaxy, Gunner. What did you think of this character?
I did not expect Homeboy to be taken out, but in a way, the more that I've watched it, like Sam says, Gunner is the heart, he's the heart of this story. And what has to happen in part one could not have happened if Gunner didn't make the mistake that he made, right? But if you think about it, in my opinion, he's so virtuous, he's so pure, he's so green. He doesn't realize by telling the truth to the bad guys, he's going to get people killed. That's all he's trying to do, right? He's trying to get a lot of money for the village. That's what he cares about. And that's what he says. And that's what he's doing is for the village, right? Let's get some money for everyone else, right? And he really redeems himself in part one. And you see him become, because of that, become a companion for Korra, right? And she tells him her story. She doesn't tell everyone else. She tells him because she's so hard to open up because of what she's gone through and the trauma, but she falls in love with Gunner, right? And that's why I know we're going to get into it, but Supergirl Corey hates what she does. But in my opinion, it's because of Gunner's presence in that scene that if say you have a loved one or someone that you really care about, Bat Dan, and that's your world. You're like, if you're Superman and you have a Lois Lane, right? That's you're gonna want to protect your world. You don't really care about everyone else. If you see your world in danger, you're just gonna do it in a moment to protect that person. So, but Gunner ain't no pushover. I love how he hugs her, but then he smoothly gets her blaster and shoots the bell and gets the war started. So shout out to Gunner for really going out like a badass. He's on the King's Gaze. He's in there with Korra. He's part of the mission. He's part of the rebels, and you see him earn his place amongst the brave ones. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, he really needed that redemption though, because he got. Even though, let's be honest, the Mother World would have still caused trouble even if he didn't speak up. But Sindrid got killed because of Gunner, and he felt the need to redeem himself, and he did. And I'm going to say this too: Gunner did the right thing when he kind of rung that bell, because I'm not just talking about the fact that he loves Korra and doesn't want to see Korra die. Noble wasn't going to listen. What are you kidding here? Noble would have been like, okay, I'm going to blast the village now anyways, because... What up, Kingdom of Nerds? And you know what sucks? I'm just going to say this right now. Batman could beat them all. He would just get his adamantium-proof spray, his supernatural-proof spray, his... And okay, and he could definitely be Punisher. That's not even a debate. But anyway, I'm sorry, I don't want to get too off topic here. But yeah, I mean, Gunner, when he died, it was heartbreaking, especially because Korra hooked up with him. Korra actually hooked up with him and actually felt a connection to him. Because even before, she told him the story in part 1, too. And that wasn't something that she was telling people. I mean, you're muted. Or maybe it's me, I'm muted.
Yeah, I was going to say she let her guard down to him, right? And him only. But that makes sense that she's not going to like, not everybody needs to know about the sins that she did after how, it kind of like caused this whole situation in a sense, if you really think about it. So she doesn't want that blame to be focused on her, but she's going to tell her one loved one, her one confidant, her world, which is Gunner. But unfortunately, he gets a Lois Lane type fate in this timeline.
Bullshit? Oh, I guess he's calling Gunner bullshit. I know he's not talking about... Yep, he's calling... I guess Sox just said what you said was bullshit, so... I'm sure I know what he's really saying bullshit to, but we'll just pretend it's... My god, dude. He must really not like what you said, Josh. He really does not like what you said at all. He just keeps going bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. He's really does not like what you just said. So anyway, actually, you know what? Before we move on to this next topic, I'm just gonna add a little something right here. There we go. Korra. Super Bowl Corey is wrong. And shout out to the Bat Channel, by the way. Much love to the Bat Channel. I assume you saw part of their Super Bowl's Corey rant about Korra, or at least one of his rants about Korra. I still think Corey and Trey need to make like a special video just about that, honestly. But
yeah, they were going back and forth, and they've really given us that BVS vibes that we love. But I totally get it, right? I totally get why Corey feels like she does. She's going to make the same mistake that she just heard about that Titus said he made, right? And that shows how, in my opinion, that kind of what she does or what she plans to do, she thinks, okay, I just need to do this because she doesn't, in her mind, think that the people of Velt have a chance. Especially when she knows that Gunner is right behind her, and she knows and sees in Noble's eyes the ultimatum, right? She gives him an ultimatum, but he gives her one. And unfortunately, because she's opened up her heart, she only is worried about Gunner's safety, right? So at the same time, she's not thinking about the plan. She's thinking about an emotion, right? And in a sense, I think there is a narrative theme throughout all these. If you look at what happens to Nemesis, right? She stays alive because she's out for vengeance. But when she starts to feel love and compassion, she becomes kind of soft and lets her guard down. In a sense, she is overwhelmed by Cryptea, but by opening her heart, she's vulnerable, right? And I think that's kind of similar in Korra. She's vulnerable, and she makes the stupid decision to try to give herself up to save the people of Velt. So it takes somebody like Gunner to be proactive and get stuff done. So I see where Super Bro Corey has an issue. I do. And that shows how Korra has a lot more growth, right, to go through. And by the end of it, you see her heart literally burning. Her heart is on fire. Gunner's flag is the heart, right? And so it's so poetic that her heart has been set on fire once again by a poor, nothing villager of Velt, right? Opens up this badass that's Arthelaus, the Scargiver, a child of fire in this movie. So I do love how narratively her mistake or her ill choice was prevented, but shows her how there's no other way. We have to find her and to fight. We got to find Issa. And that's all there is to it. What do you think about that?
Exactly. She's trying to make up for her last mistake. Because she killed or tried to kill or killed and Issa came back to life, whatever. But she tried to kill Issa and she has a lot to make up for. And I like that she has that guilt weighing on her, is that she was, and again, I just want to make sure this is abundantly clear to anyone in the chat. Much love to Super Bowl Corey. Another friend of mine I like to troll. Even though he's wrong about this one. And for Christmas decorations. But anyway, the reason why what I like about Cora is that she is flawed. She's not portrayed, she's not thought of to be a good leader. We weren't supposed to think that the choice that she was making to surrender to Noble was right. And she didn't make the right choice with Princess Issa because she was programmed, she was conditioned. And even though she ran away, she still filled the objective of killing Princess Issa, and she couldn't kill Noble. Or not Noble, Belisarius. I mean, again, I'm just going to go with what her memory is, what we see right now. I'm sure that this could change later on. But for right now, she couldn't kill Belisarius. She couldn't do it. Even after Belisarius sold her out, all she could do was run away. Because she was able to fight the programming somewhat, because the programming didn't necessarily say to run away. It just said to kill Princess Issa. And there's also a bit of fight or flight that comes into play at a certain point, too. So...
Totally.
My God, what did I start in the chat? My fault for starting that in the chat, so...
And, there was a featurette on Earth Day where they showed that the Debbie Snyder, Zack Snyder, Sophia Botella, they all went to a apex sanctuary for wolves, which are becoming an endangered species because it's becoming legal to hunt wolves. And why is Cora given the flag of the wolf, right? So they actually break down, and I really liked it. It's like a 6 minute, almost 6 minute, 5 minutes and 48 seconds little social media post about how the cast and crew wanted to really go and support this sanctuary of wolves because somehow in the mythology of Cora and the mother world, the wolf was coming in the narrative theme of the movie. And so they talk about how the pack, how Cora is part of this pack, but she kind of takes the lead at the end of part 1 to be a protector. And the female wolf is always the lead. But at the same time, they are highly emotional beings and misunderstood. So they do have their flaws. So it's really interesting when you watch that featurette, and it informs why Cora is the wolf and why there's a track in part 1 that says the woman that became wolf, because she becomes the protector, of the pack and these rebels.
Wow, that's another interesting point. And so you're saying that because it's a wolf, it's normal for emotion to come into play at a certain points. So
yeah, that's what they said.
Just saying, Super Bowl Corey, when you're watching this on replay, just saying there. But again, Cora admitted her mistake at the end of the day. She realized she was wrong to fight to kill Princess Issa. As that guilt weighed on her. But the thing is, she still saved Velt, because you can't blame her for what happened on Velt, because if she wasn't in the Mother World, the Mother World still would have shown up. The only thing that would have changed is the Mother World would have killed Velt, because Cora never would have killed the villager. Or not the villagers, but Marcus and those other men. So, just saying, you can't blame Cora for what happened on Velt. So, she saved Velt. I mean, if Cora was not there, the Mother World still would have shown up, but Cora would not have recruited the other soldiers. So,
very true.
Cora's on the path to redemption is my point. But that's what I like her character is that she wasn't. Zach could have very easily written a Mary Sue. Zach could have very easily written someone who didn't kill Princess Issa and was just the good guy and all the way through, like Finn from Star Wars, from the sequel trilogy. How Finn was just that stormtrooper who just the instant they started killing people, he revolted. He could have done that. That would have been easy, but no. A character has to earn the redemption.
Yep. Very, very true.
And now, anything else you want to say about Korra?
So much of the character is informed by this basically one movie, right? It's basically Rebel Moon. Part 1 and part 2 go together and really show us, peel back the layers of this character, and make me understand why Korra is the wolf of this pack, right? In this Rebel verse, people are endangered basically by the mother world. So she has to be in the pack in order to survive. Otherwise, if she's a loner, she's not going to make it. So I just love that comparison that Sam gives her of the wolf. And then watching that featurette kind of helps me, informs me why Korra is slowly becoming the hero that we need her to be. So I love it. Very Joseph Campbellian.
And before we move on from this topic, I just want to say again, much love to the Bat channel. Subscribe to the Bat channel. Trey and Super Bowl Corey are awesome. Even if Super Bowl Corey is wrong about this and Christmas decorations. Shout out to you, Super Bowl Corey, if you're watching on the replay. And now the battle. Other thoughts on the battle. I will tell you, Josh, I was so concerned that the villagers are just going to be good fighters. And I'm going to be like, okay, how did 4 days of training possibly make them able to beat the mother world, to beat Noble? But no, I love the way it was done. I love that, first of all, that they weren't fighters. None of them were really fighters. They just used weapons. They set up traps. They had the home field advantage. Using the grain, but also those trenches they had. I love that they had trenches and it just popped out of nowhere and immediately blew up ships.
Yeah, that battle, when it gets started, when you see the, gunner shoot the bell and then they come up with the guerrilla warfare style with the bazooka, man, and you see Noble's reaction, that scene, I was just shocked. I was like, no, this is what we're already doing. I was scared for the villagers of Belt, right? But you see them going in, and you see a lot of, shout out to Zach for putting like badass women in, like the Rand, not like Sam or, Nemesis, right? Those are badass women, but in the background too. When you see them training, you see some women just hacking off limbs, and Tarak's like, oh, we got a natural here, and then you see those same people in the battle showing what they're made of and on the ground taking out these troops. So it was really well done. Like Zach, when he told Sky what he told him about, when you see the third act, it's just going to basically be like, well, if they can do something epic like that on Netflix, imagine what DC.
There we are.
So amazing set pieces. The King's Gaze sequence with Korra infiltrating, taking down those MFers, getting the molten sword is just one of my favorites. I kind of feel I think I said this, maybe I haven't. I got to see a snippet of the scene. I kind of feel like I got to see a little bit more than what is actually in the movie. I kind of feel like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I'll just say that. So that might be, I might have seen a little bit more from the director's cut. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's just going to be more epic. Shout out to Brett.
Necron.
What's up, Necron?
Okay, I'm sorry, Josh.
No, just shout out to Brett Colbert, the commander of the King's Gaze. It was cool to hang out with him and then see him on screen and hate him because he was a great character. But there's no body, so who knows? Maybe we'll see more in the director's cut. I don't know, or in future installments.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. He could be alive too. He could have gone on that ship with Cassius, so
After I saw the movie, I was like, wait, there's no body. He was like, I was like, all right. I know you can't say anything.
But that's what I love though. It's just seeing, and what I like about this battle though is that you saw characters like Nemesis Den die. You saw people that we cared about die because that's how a battle is. I mean, and again, that's what I say. So many directors, all the main characters would have lived. They would have, like most directors. I honestly think they would have had every single character that we felt we cared about live. But Zach, no, that's not how a battle works.
Very true. I mean, we see poor Din fall to his death as a noble effort to try to take out Noble, but
No, PG-13 movies can show bodies. I mean, they can a certain way, but there's a way you could do it in a PG-13 movie.
yeah.
You don't get that excuse completely. I know, like Kai's death in part one. I know is like supposedly it's more definite in the director's cut with him.
It's going to be more exaggerated. I think all people aren't going to expect how exaggerated the director's cuts are, and that's what Zach's going for. So I'm here for it. So I can only imagine what the battle death scenes of these Imperial troops and the rebel belt soldiers are going to be like, because it's going to be savage. I think Noble is really going to make us despise him on the ground with these troops.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And you know, another part I love about the plan, the battle though, is the plan with Korra's ship. I love how that was utilized, how they used it to sneak aboard the ship to get in, and I kind of felt bad for the Motherworld soldiers trying to heal Korra because I felt like they were just trying to save someone and then they got killed.
Yep, that's true. But that's what war is like.
Yeah. All is fair in love and war. And now the ending. I guess, what did you think about the ending? Or did you have anything else you want to say about the battle first?
No, the ending, I loved it. I mean, it's very open-ended, because it's not you forget, like I really did. I told this on Sky's channel. I forgot. Like there's so much stakes in this end battle. It's so epic. There's a lot of drama, but you realize like, oh crap, Belisarius is still out there. They still have to take out the mother world, right? Like there's still threats. So this is a battle, it's not the war. So I love how it's just, it's very much, if you think about it, it's kind of Empire Strikes Back-esque, because some of our fan favorites, we've lost some of our rebels. We've lost Darien Bloodaxe, right? We've lost the other Bloodaxes in part one. We've lost Nemesis. We've lost Gunner, right? We've lost Din. So they're burning their, banners and memorial. But at the same time, the ones who are still standing, like Korra, right? They're, like I said, her heart is literally on fire, thanks to thanks to Gunner, really sparking and bringing that out in her. And it shows her conviction that they still have a mission to do. When Titus reveals what he reveals about Asa still alive, you did not kill her. And so I'm so fascinated to figure out what exactly that means. And I need to see River Moon Part 3 ASAP.
Just want to say this real quick before I give my thoughts on the ending. I was clapping when they first blew up the ships. I never clap in movies, and I clapped in this one. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I agree with you, Josh. I want to see more. I would say that this ending to me was like A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back had a baby, because it was so happier than Empire Strikes Back as they defeated the Mother World. But it's not quite A New Hope, because A New Hope, I guess it was just called Star Wars at the time, but basically A New Hope, you could just watch that movie and it's a complete story right there with the room to do more. This one's not quite a complete story because they set up that we're doing more. Is that Princess Isa's alive and they have a mission, and all the main characters are Korra. I mean, Jimmy's even coming with them. Jimmy, too.
Mm-hmm. And Deborah Bloodaxe. So we officially got the Bloodaxe troops. So we're going to probably see more voice cameos from Zack Snyder. So if that is indeed him, so excited for that.
But I like where it sets up. They're going to find Princess Isa. Is that, Velt is saved. as protocol says, now the Admiral's dead, the Mother World's gonna stay away from Velt. So, and they know the Admiral's dead for real because they beheaded him. So, I thought it was a great ending. And some people thought it was abrupt the way they just brought up Princess Issa, and I think Trey said this in the Bat Channel, and I would say I don't know if I quite go that far because when was Titus wasn't gonna bring that up till the ending or till after the battle. We were gonna bring that up before. So I don't know. I was fine with it. I was fine with it. Like, but I could see why that would bother people, the abruptness of that. I could see why, like, so quick to set up a sequel, but I was fine with the way it was.
Oh, it got the third biggest applause from the crowd in my screening was knowing that Issa was still around. So it's just, there's more to the story, more story to tell, and more Rebelverse to really get into. So I'm here for it.
Now, what are your hopes and speculation for the future of the Rebel Moon franchise?
I want 3 and 4 to come out together. That's what I want. I want them to do back to back because now Zach has proven a successful model, right? Doing 2 films back to back. In the story narrative, I do want to see the Councils of Jimmies, or the Order of the 12 that Zach has talked about in interviews. I love Jimmy, the Jimmies, and I want to know, are they all called Jimmies? They're JCs, so I'm guessing they're all called Jimmies, but they probably have different voices. So I need to hear who Bartholomew is voiced by, who is apparently protecting Issa that Zach has said. So I just love that his name is Bartholomew. And I want to see what other planets get, inspired by the Battle of Velt, because we know from what Terok says in his flashback that he will go back to his world. So I know we're going to see more Banus. That is one thing that I missed, was the Banus. The Banus was the Banu scene with Terok was so beautiful, so well done, that I need more Banu. So I need more Banu, I need more Issa, more Jimmy, and I need some more Snyder slow-mo. Because the easy answer is slow-mo is awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah, quick slow-mo thoughts. Slow-mo was awesome. That's just another stupid complaint, but I would say that for me is like, I want to see more Terra connecting with the animals. I want to see more Devra. I want to see flashbacks of the Blood Axes, and I want to see I know there's a comic, but I want to see more of the live action format of it. I want to see more how some of their backstory a lot more. I want to see Darian alive. I know he may be busy for ZSJL 2 and 3 if or when that happens. I'm just gonna say now, but if Henry Cavill can be in Rebel Moon Part 3, then so can Scoop by Mikey Sutton, which I hope to see that. I hope that... See, but the thing is, Mikey Sutton said that he's playing a Han Solo type of character. Don't know if a Jimmy would be a Han Solo character, but... Well, I mean, I don't think we can see, like, Krypton directly, because even if Zach gets the license, the way the license works is that he can only use DC for that specific project. So ZSJL 2 and 3. As Mikey Sutton said, you can't have Henry Cavill's Superman show up on Stranger Things. But you might see something kind of similar to that, though. So, I mean, well, we didn't see the Rebel Moon yet, because didn't they say that we haven't actually seen the real Rebel Moon yet, even though Velt was technically a moon that they were rebelling on. That wasn't the real...
There's going to be many Rebel Moons, is what I think.
Yep. See, even Son Havoc saying Cavill shot first. So I hope to see that. And actually, this is what I kind of hope to happen for the future of Zack Snyder's projects. I guess Zack is doing some small movie next, but I guess we're not supposed to talk too much about that yet because we're supposed to keep the focus on Rebel Moon. But I will say this. This is what I kind of hope to happen. I want Zach to... Personally, I'm hoping to see Zach direct ZSJL 2 and 3, get that story finished, but then for Rebel Moon, get a Nemesis prequel series that Zach can be a producer of. Because Zach's not going to do all the spin-off projects. He'll do the main stuff, sure. But the spin-off projects, just saying, you can get someone else to do a Nemesis prequel project, and I think now would be the perfect time for it. So keep the Rebel Moon franchise going. Yeah, I know Belt's a moon, but I guess it's not the official Rebel Moon, because they were saying, like, you don't see Rebel Moon, the Rebel Moon, until part 3, but...
Yeah.
So, but... Yeah, there's something else, though. I want to see Belisarius. I want to see more Belisarius, because we don't see a lot of him, and I want to confirm, see more of this sadistic asshole.
Yeah. We need somebody is just as charismatic as Ed Screen as Atticus Noble. So I want to see more villain ranks rise up.
And I'm just saying, Darian's not dead. I'm not convinced he's dead. I know part 2, they're trying to make us think he's dead, but he's not. So I guess, do you have any I guess you kind of gave some of your speculation away already, but do you have any other speculation?
Yeah. I mean, like I said it earlier, what we saw as flashback and what we heard, I don't know. I continue to think there's more to the scribes than we think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just projecting, but we'll see. We'll see what 3 and 4 story unveils, because I think there's more twists and turns for us in our Rebel verse for sure.
Oh yeah. I think there's a lot coming up. A lot of things that we do not expect. And now, again, I just think this was a fantastic movie. We already gave our ratings in the spoiler-free review, so check it out. Check that out. But overall, I love this movie. I'm excited to see more, and this clearly was a success for Netflix, so we definitely are going to see more, and I'm really excited. I guess, Josh, what are some final thoughts you have, and what do you have coming up on your channel?
The only thing I probably have, I have a last little video that I'm going to post of the Rebel Moon screening event. So check that out on my YouTube channel when I get time. I've been so busy. I actually have to log off here right now and work, unfortunately, I guess, as I told you. So it's wild. So yeah, just check out my YouTube channel for that. I'll post about it on Twitter X when I get the time. And when I can, I'll jump on streams and continue being a rebel, as I currently have Rebel Moon playing right now with Sam, being a badass, being trained. So continue to engage with Netflix, play Rebel Moon on all your devices. Remember, the first 28 days are essential. So far, I think it's 40 million views that we have so far is the official number. So let's keep it going and keep the engagement going. Just keep doing the watch parties and keep rebelling, baby.
Well said, Josh. Well said. And I always love having you on my channel, and hope to see you again on my channel soon. Because next weekend I have a 2-day event, the Rebel Moon Watch Party. So part 1, the plan right now is part 1 for not this Friday, but next Friday, and part 2 for Saturday. This may change because Mother's Day weekend, I may be doing my Mother's Day thing on Saturday. So I may move some stuff around. I'll give advance notice on that, though. I won't surprise people at the last minute, because I want people to actually, watch the watch party. So be on the lookout for that, but I'm going to do my part to help give this movie more engagement. At some point, Josh and I will have our second attempt at covering the rest of X-Men Season 2. And this Saturday, I have some Star Wars Day stream planned. I have to check out with some guests, but I do plan something for Saturday. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more unique takes, interesting thoughts, and great discussions such as these. Thank you again for coming on, Josh. And on that note, have a space-tastic day.